The conundrum of Kyle Kuzma. Is he here to stay or on his way? Come on, let's talk about it next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Brandon Scott again. And woo, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Wizards Daily Newsletter, a one-stop shop for the ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start your day with all new free Locked On Wizards newsletter. Tonight's episode is sponsored by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Lot to talk about tonight, guys. Like I said, the conundrum of Kyle Kuzma. Is he here to stay after the deadline, or is he on his way? Because we have reports that kind of indicate both directions. So let's dig into this. Let's look at all the dynamics to cover, what happens if he goes, what happens if he stays in the long term and in the short term. So like I said, lot to talk about tonight. And then we're going to do a preview for tomorrow night's game or early morning game, depending on how you look at it, against the LA Clippers. So let's get into it. So the first report is through Wizards Intel on IG. So shout out to Wizards Intel. And he says that Kyle Kuzma is going through a career worst stretch this season, which has completely dwindled his trade value. Just last year, the front office believed he was worth 2 first-round picks. Now that he might not even be worth 1. Kyle Kuzma, age 29, is under contract through the 2026 to 2027 season, where he's set to make $19.4 million as part of the distinct contract. So looking at his contract situation, this year he's making $23.5. Next year it goes down to $21.5, and then his final year of his deal is $19.4. So looking at another report, this other report is through Martin Gorthot. And the sources say the sources tell at Poland Sports Net that several teams expressed interest in the 29-year-old forward. And it now says the Washington Wizards are expected to trade Kyle Kuzma by the end of the week. So, like I said, 2 different reports, 2 different perspectives, and 2 different things that we've talked about. On one hand, his trade value has taken a hit. There's a combination of a dip in production, and there's a combination of him being injured. Now, his contract very team friendly. So, I guess we'll look at every dynamic. So, the first thing I want to touch base on real quick is what happens if we trade Kyle Kuzma. Okay. Now, obviously, again, like I was just saying, his trade value has gone down. Dip in production. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries this year. The rib injury, he's had a multitude of injuries that he's been dealing with. And that the asking price of 2 first-round picks is just not happening anymore. And the question now is, can they get 1 first-round pick? And then there's the big if. Now, I'm going to say this. There are, the Sacramento Kings are one team that is definitely a team that I still think is a team to look at per se, because they need that one more scoring punch to help them go into the playoffs. But like I said, where he really fits, I think that trading Kyle Kuzma is going to be the result of the blowback from a potential Jimmy Butler trade, because I think once the Jimmy Butler trade goes down, which will send Bradley Beal to Milwaukee, I think the after effects, the Wizards should try to be one of those teams where either you try to build, definitely base your market off of that, or become a third team. But again, looking at Kyle Kuzma, looking at his contract, he's a team-friendly contract, not only for, the Wizards if they want to retain him, but if you want to move Kyle Kuzma, there's going to be a team going out, out there is going to want to trade for Kyle Kuzma, because that's definitely that 20-plus point a night scorer. Now, again, we talk about it all the time that he is very, very aggressive. And aggression, when you're an aggressive scorer, usually comes at the expense of what? Being, an efficient player, right? So inefficiency seems to be, something that really bothers Kyle Kuzma, because he's an aggressive scorer, but he does play a lot of ISO heavy basketball, and he has gotten better. He's gotten really better in being more of a playmaker and definitely getting other people involved. But, is it at this stage in his career, the fact that he is in his prime, more often than not, he is what he is. And he's a pure scorer, a very aggressive scorer who can be inefficient, but he's definitely a scorer nevertheless. And there's going to be a team out there in the Western Conference going to want that 1 second unit scorer, because let's be real, while he is the number 1 option here in DC, he's probably going to be a third option or a fifth option on a playoff team in the Western Conference, which look is good for Kuzma because it takes a lot of pressure on him of being that guy. Here in DC, he's between him and JP13, a lot of pressure on them being that 1-2 punch scoring wise, being the first and second scoring option. And the biggest question in DC has been who emerges as a third or fourth option. But he's not going to have that problem on a playoff team in the Western Conference because he's not being relied upon to be having to produce 20 plus a night and having that pressure of being that number one scoring option. So, like I said, looking at if they decide to trade him, the first point I want to get into, guys, is you're not going to like the return. And that's just being honest here. You may be able to get a first round pick, but if you get a first round pick, it's going to be a late stage first round pick, a first round pick in the later stages of the first round. It's not going to be a lottery pick. It's not going to be a top 10 pick. It's going to be because look, the teams who are looking for his services are teams that are playoff teams. So real quick, we're going to look at some of the prospective teams real quick that have been looking at Kyle Kuzma. So I already mentioned the Sacramento Kings, the Dallas Mavericks, a team that, they have not completely closed the door on Kyle Kuzma, and the Los Angeles Lakers. But like I said, the Lakers, they're still trying to make that one big move. I don't think they're done after Finney-Smith. The Mavericks, where does he fit in as far as what their culture is? And, like I said, there's been a lot of noise around them adding another guy. And, the Kings to me are the most realistic destination. And like I said, I would take on Kevin Huerter, trade Lyles, and try to get a first round pick. But let's be real. Best case scenario, guys, you're looking at a first round pick. Worst case scenario, you're looking at an expiring contract. And hopefully you can try to get a young player in return. But at this point, with his body language, with him kind of unofficially not, asking out, not wanting to be here. I mean, and while he hasn't formally and officially requested a trade, let's be real, I think he definitely has seen the writing on the wall. I think he definitely wants to be on the move to a playoff team, a team that's hopeful for a championship. Because like I said, the body language, post on X, certain things are indicators to me that he wants out. And like I said, I think that he has not formally done so, even though a few weeks ago it appeared that he did. But I think that the writing's on the wall. If you look at where the franchise is, second year of a rebuild, the fact that they're looking at Bilal Coulibaly taking a lot more responsibility on the offensive end and being that second fiddle to Jordan Poole, the writing's on the wall and it's time to move on. So, like I said, the first point that I want to make is you're not going to like the package. You may you may be able to finesse a first round pick if you're Will Dawkins. You may be able to finesse a first round pick, but it's not going to be a lottery pick, and it's going to be a first round pick in a later stage of the first round. All right, so what if they choose to keep him? And right now we're talking about just the short-term ramifications here. What if they decide to keep him? They don't find the deal they want, and they decide to keep him. Well, number one, do we have a clear replacement at the power forward position? And yes, you could probably plug in Justin Champagnie at the 4, or when Marvin Bagley III becomes healthy again, with his size, with his versatility, he could be plugged in at the power forward position and be in the front court with Alex Sarr, which I think could be a really nice combination in the front court, especially when it comes to versatility and being a 3-level scorer. Both him and Alex Sarr have shown a lot of offensive promise of being able to hit the mid-range and the 3-point shot. So right now, you don't have a clear replacement at the 4. Now, you could go Justin Champagnie and Marvin Bagley III when he's healthy. And I think those reasons right there where, while you don't have a clear replacement, I think Justin Champagnie could play well at the power forward position. He's shown that he can hold it down at least to the end of the season. And like I said, Marvin Bagley III, with him being injured, chances are he's going to be staying after the deadline. He's another guy where I don't think they're moving on from Marvin Bagley III. He's been injured. I think, if they want to keep him around, he has to the end of the season to show what his true worth is to this organization. And if not, with him being in an expiring contract, he could be on his way and they can just cut sling load, which is the military term, by the way. But they can just go ahead and just decide to move on. So it's a pretty good situation because you have a guy who could potentially fit the timeline in Marvin Bagley III. But like I said, the ball is in his court. If he proves that he can be a long-term piece, I don't see why they wouldn't sign him long-term. Definitely considering they have to, they have to spend so much of the cap. So why not spend that money on Justin Champagnie, Jared Butler, or Marvin Bagley III, right? But again, if he does not play up to snuff, he could be on his way, and there is no long-term commitment to Marvin Bagley III. So could Justin Champagnie step in the event of Kyle Kuzma trade? Yes. So looking at the short-term ramifications, you could see a scenario. And like I said, to me, it's 75-25. There's a 75% chance they are going to move him because I think he wants to go. And I think they know that with this being the second year of a rebuild, they need to see what they have, what the true ceiling is, especially in year 2 in a breakout campaign of Bilal Coulibaly. Officially make him the second fiddle to Jordan Poole and go amongst your business, right? Because like I said, Bilal, it's a mixed bag at how he plays with Kyle Kuzma. And if he stays, like I said, if he stays, they got to find a way to, you know, get that production for Kyle Kuzma, yet put Bilal Coulibaly in the best position for him to develop further and definitely continue that breakout campaign. Because, like I said, early in the part of the season, looked like he was breaking out, and then now it looks like he's kind of slowed down his bit. And I think a lot of that has to do with, number one, he's really he's kind of second guessing himself. And when it comes to be cool, man, just go out there and play your game. We know you're a beast, especially on the defensive end. Offensively, you see the potential. But I think the time's right to make him a second fiddle, to really feature him a lot more in the offense, especially when it comes to play calling. Definitely give more responsibilities, more of the offensive load to be cool. So I think the writing's on the wall for Kyle Kuzma. So right now, I think there's a 75% chance they do trade Kyle Kuzma. Because like I said, getting back to what does it say? Sources, my bad. Long day, guys. Looking at sources, Martin Gorthot is a source where he's done he is a good source. Like I said, he's a guy who does have his ear to the ground in the organization, amongst other people, including myself. Like I said, shout out to him, shout out to Troy Halliburton. Like I said, there are guys out there with the ears to the ground trying to get that intel out of the organization and see what is the direction hitting into the trade deadline. And like I said, I do think that the source is a source that you have to pay attention to. But then looking at what Wizards Intel is saying on IG, you can't discount that either, because look, if you look at what's going on with his body language, with the dip in production, with so many different factors, when you look at cryptic posts on X, I think that he has unofficially asked out. So looking at the short-term ramifications of the conundrum of Kyle Kuzma, trading him, you may be able to finesse a first-round pick. But if you retain him, and if you retain him, is due because you don't like the package you get in return and you don't have a clear replacement at power forward. But I think that Justin Champagnie can be the answer to that question. I think he should be able to hold down the power forward position till the end of the season. And I think that at this point, they're going to have to take the package they're not going to like. And like I said, I think that General Manager Will Dawkins and President of Basketball Operations Michael Winger are going to do their best diligence as far as trying to get a first-round pick in any kind of draft compensation. But I think that they're going to come to a deal, but it's not going to be the most immaculate deal. But it is what it is, because I think that the writing's on the wall, not only for Kyle Kuzma, but for the front office. Because look, once you hit into year 3 of the rebuild, you've got to see some kind of progression. And I think the time now is, we obviously know that, look, they missed their chance to move him at his height, where his trade value was at a zenith. That ship has sailed. At this point, you have to take that uncomfortable deal. The same thing we did with KP. The same thing we did with Bradley Beal. You're going to have to take that deal that you may not want, but sometimes it's addition by subtraction. I think that is the course of action they're going to take. So we're going to get into what is the long-term ramifications of trading Kyle Kuzma or keeping him. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by TALKSPACE. Therapy is a game changer. It can help manage stress, improve sleep, and communicate more effectively. But finding the right therapist and fitting sessions into a busy schedule can be a challenge. That's where TALKSPACE comes in. TALKSPACE, the leading virtual therapy provider, makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. And you guys know me, I say it all the time, guys. Look, it's not taboo anymore to talk to a therapist. It's not taboo anymore to express your feelings, especially not for the fellas, right? Long time we were told as fellas that, to express your feelings, that it was, you're being sensitive. No, I'm not going to say it anymore. Everybody needs somebody to talk to. And to me, TALKSPACE is definitely something you should definitely consider, because everything is done and it fits into your schedule, not anybody else's schedule, your schedule, making you're making it affordable, easy, and accessible. So as a listener to this podcast, you get $80 off your first month with TALKSPACE when you go to TALKSPACE.com/LockedOnNBA and enter promo code SPACE80 to match with a licensed therapist today. Go to TALKSPACE.com/LockedOnNBA and enter promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's TALKSPACE.com/LockedOnNBA. Promo code SPACE80. All right, everybody, let's move on. So, what are the long-term ramifications of either trading Kyle Kuzma or holding on to him and retaining his services? Well, let's get into if they decide to move on from him. What are the long-term ramifications? Because obviously the short-term ramifications are, look, it's going to be addition by subtraction, because you're going to be able to free up Bilal Coulibaly to get more responsibility and become more of a feature piece in offense beside Jordan Poole, right? Long-term, I mean, there's only two words: Cooper Flag. I mean, you definitely have a future piece at power forward. It opens up opportunities for Justin Shimpney to show what he can do, because I think that Justin Shimpney is a long-term piece here. So if you feature Justin Shimpney exclusively at power forward in the second half of the season, it gives him that opportunity to show what he can do and get that next contract, get that big contract that I believe he deserves. He's played really good basketball in the nation's cap, and I think that he's definitely a keeper. You keep Justin Shimpney around. So that's a long-term piece, because long-term, it really opens up, answers at power forward. Who do you match up next to Alex Sarr? Now, a lot of people think that he played a 4. While I think he does have the capability of playing the power forward position, looking at his lateral movement, looking at how he does struggle at times against faster, more agile and athletic power forwards, such as, when Jason Tatum played the 4, there's players who, there's forwards who can play the 3 or the 4. And when you match him up against Alex Sarr, he does struggle against faster guys. So I think that the long-term slot for Alex Sarr is a center position. 5 pounds of muscle, gain some strength. I think he definitely will be the answer. He's definitely an answer. That's his spot long-term. He is our center of the future, in my opinion. Can he play the 4? Absolutely. But I think center is his position long-term. So going out there and finding his, who can we complement with Alex Sarr? Now, looking at this draft, Cooper Flag played the 4. So I think he's the perfect guy to put at the 4, allow out the 3, and then see what we got at, at shooting guard, whether they decide to, officially make this backcourt Bub Carrington and Jordan Poole. But like I said, this draft, a lot of questions, because if you miss out on Cooper Flag, then you probably go guard, right? You're looking at Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper, to me, could play shooting guard beside Jordan Poole, or long-term, you're probably looking at Bub Carrington. If you're looking at Ace Bailey, then you're probably looking at moving Bilal Coulibaly to the 2 guard, Ace Bailey at the 3, and you still have a hole right there at the 4. Now, we can still utilize Justin Shimpney, or go out there, sign a guy, who may be a short-term solution at the 4. And so a lot of questions, but a lot of capabilities. That's the biggest thing. We have choices, but we have a lot of choices because we haven't always had choices here in DC. So we have choices. We have capabilities. We have a lot of flexibility. So long-term, if we hold on to Kyle Kuzma, number one, we could trade him in the offseason. Now, will he be able to build his trade value up to the point of moving him at the offseason? That is a big question mark. And you very well could see yourself in a similar situation next year that you are now, where you got a guy where, yes, his contract is very team friendly, not only to retain him, but to move him. But then you're looking at a guy where the priority in this organization should be development of young talent. But Lyle's ready, man. He's ready. With confidence, with a more featured role, you're going to see Bilal turn that next gear in the second half of the season. So I think you have to prioritize development, especially at B Cool, because Bilal Coulibaly is that first guy who was drafted underneath Will Dawkins, who's up for an extension after Jordan Poole's contract comes off the books, Kyle Kuzma's contract comes off the books, and Jonas Valanciunas and Saddiq Bey contracts come off the books. So like I said, once you get to the year after next, man, you're looking at a lot of important financial decisions made by this front office, because really, what is Jordan Poole's long-term place here in the organization? If you see him as one of those pillars, then you're looking at re-signing him, and you're probably looking at a max contract. And like I said, are you willing to pay the max for JP13 and still sign Bilal to an extension? They could be. But like I said, we're not going to get a more clear picture till we get to that point. So there's a lot of questions going forward, because like I said, Saddiq Bey, where is his place in this team? With him being down, recovering from the ACL injury, what is his long-term, place in this organization? So a lot of questions, man. Jonas Valanciunas. And like I said, we're going to get deep into the trade, because Friday is the trade deadline preview. So definitely tune in for that. But a lot of questions, guys. What is the long-term look for this organization? So the first point, looking at we retain him, you're looking at trading him in the offseason, probably draft night. So number two, if we go out there and get Cooper Flag, who do you start? And to me, you start Cooper Flag. You have to prioritize development. Now, they could probably sit Cooper Flag for 1 year, play Kuz, because realistically, okay, going into next season, there will be 2 years left on Kyle Kuzma's contract. So best case scenario, we get the first overall pick. We go out there and get Cooper Flag out of Duke. You could probably, bring him off the second unit, because he's young. He's 18 years old right now. So he's very, very young. So you could give him a year to sit on the second unit, let Kyle Kuzma be the power forward. And then the year after that, rather, he will be an expiring contract. So there's going to be teams they're going to pick up Kyle Kuzma on an expiring contract when it's $19.4 million a year. So you do have capabilities there. So looking at the long-term ramifications, and like I said, the long-term depends on the short-term, right? Because if they decide to trade him, then you can totally take all of these long-term ramifications out of the window as far as a bench role. But if they choose to start Cooper Flag, or then you probably look at Kyle Kuzma taking on a bench role. Is he willing to take that role if he stays here? Big question. That's a big question. So, like I said, guys, we went over the short-term and the long-term ramifications if we decide to trade or retain Kyle Kuzma. And like I said, I think there's a 75% chance that they will trade him probably by the end of the week, if not next week. But then you look at the scenarios, if they do not get the package they want, he very well could be here till next offseason. So you have to prepare. So, like I said, so before once we I'm going to get into what are my expectations for Kyle Kuzma if they keep him. And then we're going to get into a preview for tomorrow night's game versus the LA Clippers. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Gametime. I love going to live events, whether it's sports games, music events, theater shows, or comedy shows. One of my favorite memories was attending a concert last year, the 50 Cent and Busta Rhymes concert. It was totally unforgettable. And if you're a hip hop head like me, going through the whole catalog of Busta Rhymes is nothing like it. Now, Gametime has made it easier to get tickets for your favorite events. And it's not just sports games, right? Music shows or concerts, theater events, comedy shows, the list goes on. They make it easier to get your tickets for your favorite events with the new feature, Gametime Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And guys, like you guys know, I love going to games year round, but I love some concerts. I look forward to, this summer going to a couple more concerts with the wife. Definitely want to get into some comedy shows. And I'm inquisitive about going to a Broadway play. So they may be in my future, but we shall see. But do yourself a favor. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime, baby. All right, guys, we're going to get into my expectations of Kyle Kuzma if he stays past the deadline. And we're going to get into a preview for tomorrow night's game versus the Clippers because they have stayed in LA. Obviously, we just lost to the Lakers 111-88, but now we play the Clippers, who are now in their new arena. I believe it's in Intuit Dome. So, yep, I got it right, man. That's so. Like I said, we're going to get into the preview. But before we do, real quick, what would be my expectations if they decide to keep Kyle Kuzma? And like I said, I do believe there's a 75% chance they do move on from Kyle Kuzma, but there's that 25% chance. And like I said, if they don't get the deal that they like, they could very well hold on to Kyle Kuzma. And you got to find ways to not only get him, get production out of Kyle Kuzma, but players like Bilal need to develop and kick in that next gear. So realistically, looking at his game, he's got to find ways to be more of a playmaker. We know he's a scorer. He's a very aggressive scorer. But saying that, it often comes at the expense of being an inefficient player, which means, you can be very ISO heavy at times. You can be very dependent on that jump shot. And, at times it can be a black hole with the ball. He's got to find ways to be more of a playmaker if he wants to stay, and it's not really if he wants to or not, but if he wants to be productive and get the most out of the young guys around him, he's got to find ways to be more of a playmaker. And he has. He's definitely have gotten better at being more of a guy who orchestrates. But he's got to be more of an orchestrator than a scorer. Like I said, we need him to be the scoring punch. Because right now, him and Jordan Poole are the first and second option as far as scoring. But we've got to get Bilal Coulibaly and Alex Sart to be that third and fourth scoring options. Because when, Kyle Kuzma or Jordan Poole or both of them have off nights, we need to know who's next up. Who's the third or fourth guy who steps up. And we need Bilal to be that guy. We need Alex Sart to be that guy. Not only for the sake of holding on to the culture of playing hard and playing to win, but of development. I definitely think that one of the best ways to develop is to play and put Bilal in those situations, man. Give him more responsibility. So, like I said, I do firmly believe he will be moved. But like I said, you have to prepare for every outcome. And while you definitely, I think that the asking price for one first-round pick, I think that Will Dawkins could probably finesse a first-round pick. And you're probably looking at inspiring contracts. Hopefully you get a young player in return. To me, the best fit is Sacramento. Kevin Huerter, Trey Lyles, and hopefully you get a first-round pick. But, here's the thing, man. It's not guaranteed. And, if you look at the fact that, his production has dipped. And you look at it, also you look at the fact that he has dealt with a lot of injuries this year. So, you could probably argue both ways whether, which way the team goes in that regard. So that would be my expectation. So I'm going to pull up the the draft pick situation with the Kings real quick, because there's been a lot of trades going on in the NBA with draft picks, predominantly with the Phoenix Suns and the Utah Jazz. So let's take a look at the picks real quick for the Sacramento Kings. So they do not hold a first round pick in this year's draft. So they have their first 2026, 27. So 26 is out because of the Stepien rule. So you're looking at 27, 28. They have a first round pick, 29. I mean, I think it's gonna be hard to finesse pick, guys. Right now, Sacramento is your best case scenario, in my opinion, at moving on from Kyle Kuzma. So you're probably looking at Trey Lyles and Kevin Huerter. So like I said, the package is not going to be what you want or what the front office wants, but nevertheless, that's probably the package you're looking at. So, that's my expectations. If he's retained, you got to find ways to get Be Cool and Alex are more involved. So that would be my expectations of how you get the same, get production out of Kyle Kuzma, but still get that progression, get that development from Bilal Coulibaly and Alex Sarr. So let's get into the preview for tomorrow night's game, y'all. So again, the Washington Wizards will be at LA again in the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California. 10:30 tip-off, guys. So the Washington Wizards coming in with a record of 6-36, 15th in the East, worst record in the NBA. While the Clippers are 5th in the West, so they are definitely in the playoff hunt in the Western Conference with a 24-18 record. So some stats to look at real quick now. Looking at team leaders for both teams leading in points. Okay, for the Wizards, Jordan Poole's leading with 21 points per game, and Powell is leading the Clippers with 23 points per game while shooting 49% from field goal range. And when I say Powell, I mean Norman Powell, that is. So looking at rebounds, the rebounding battle, Zubac is averaging 12 rebounds, or 12.7 to be exact for the Clip show. And then Valanciunas is leading the Wizards with 8 rebounds per game. Now, assists, Harden, another consideration here, 8 assists per game. But he is averaging 4.6 turnovers per game. Now, looking at Jordan Poole, he's averaging around 4.7 assists per game. Definitely would love to see him get it up to 5, maybe 6, and still being that offensive dog. But turnovers have gone down. He's only committing 3.6 turnovers per game. So let's take a look at the injury report real quick. Now, as we know, Saddiq Bey's still out, but he has been with the team on their trips, this West Coast trip. So that is definitely a good sign. Now, could he come back in the last quarter of the season? Yes, but I would sit him for the year. Let him get 100% healthy. Bring him back next year when he's 100% and ready to roll in training camp. I wouldn't bring Saddiq Bey back because what's the point? Give these young guys the opportunity to play in the second half and let him sit. Let him get healthy. Let him work his way back up, and don't feel compelled to have to rush him, because there's no rush. Bro, we're 6-36, so there's really no rush. Marvin Bagley is also out with day-to-day with a knee injury, so we're getting a clear picture with him and Malcolm Brogdon, because he is also day-to-day with a foot injury. So Marvin Bagley third and Malcolm Brogdon, we'll get a clear picture once we get closer to tip-off tomorrow night. For the Clippers, Chris Dunn is out with a knee injury. Nicholas Batum is out with a finger injury. James Harden is out, but I do expect him to play. Right now, he's questionable, but again, we'll know for sure goes to tip off. And Norman Powell is day-to-day with a back injury. PJ Tucker is out for personal reasons. Zubac is out. Again, well, he was listed out for the Celtics game, so we'll see if he plays against the Wizards. And Kawhi Leonard is out with his knee. When him coming back from a knee injury, they have been really bringing him up slowly. He's not playing the second of back-to-back, so we'll see if he's available. So like I said, guys, looking at a prospective lineup, you're going to get more of a clear picture towards tip-off, because a lot of injuries between both of the teams. So right now, it's not 100% what the lineup's going to be, who's going to be in, who's going to be out. So I'll definitely let you guys know and send out the lineup prior to tomorrow night's game, so everybody knows what the official starting lineup is. So let's take look at some stats real quick and look at my 3 keys to victory for tomorrow night. Well, number 1, defense. The Los Angeles Clippers are the 3rd best defense in the NBA, only allowing 106 points per game. The Washington Wizards are the worst defense in the league, allowing 122 points per game. You already know this team's going to roll, man. They are going to roll. James Harden, with his ability to, with that step back and get those fouls, man. But as a distributor, he's done well. Definitely distributing, man. So, like I said, when it comes to defense, this is a team where you're going to have to really try to put a clamp on the team if you want to have any chance to try to beat the Clippers. So let me pull up their depth chart real quick, because right now Kawhi Leonard, Zubac, and Norman Powell are all kind of questionable in day-to-day. So you're not going to get a clear picture. But we know Kawhi, what he can do, Zubac. So I think that, is this necessarily a team that really strikes fear in the heart of teams? No, not really. I mean, Kevin Porter Jr., he's going to provide some points off the second unit. Kawhi Leonard, what do you expect? He's still ramping things up from injury. So the main threat to me and the real emphasis as far as Bilal, who do I want Bilal to put the clamps on, is going to be James Harden. That would be the emphasis. Because I truly believe, you looking at this matchup with the Clippers, if you put the clamps on James Harden, you do have a chance in this game. You do have a chance. Yeah, they're the 5th best team in the Western Conference. And look, Norman Powell ain't no scrub, man. He can definitely play. He's a guy who can definitely shoot from 3. Kawhi Leonard, we know what he can do. Is just, like Malcolm Brogdon, man, is a question of staying healthy. Derrick Jones Jr., he's more of an athletic guy. He's worked on his 3-point shot, but he's not a guy he's a guy who's going to attack the rim. And Zubac, more of a traditional big. So I think there is a chance here. But defensively, how do we slow them down? Well, we've got to show up all the issues we have on defense, which is get back in transition. We've got to make defensive switches faster, switching off defenders faster, because fluid ball movement catches us off guard every single time. And there's always, and once they pass that ball around with fluid ball movement, there's always that one guy that's open, and they kill us on the perimeter. So how do you counteract that? Closing out to shooters. So defense, we've got to put the clamps on them, especially in perimeter, because, Zubac, I think, is an intriguing matchup with Alex Sarr, man. I think he's definitely an intriguing matchup. And Jonathan Valanciunas, him and Mo Bamba, I think this is a really good matchup for this team in the paint. I think Jonathan Valanciunas can really, I think he can put in work against Mo Bamba. And looking at Zubac, very intriguing matchup with him and Alex Sarr, man. Because Alex Sarr, I feel like he's been doing better with matching up against a lot of these bigger bigs. We know he needs to get stronger, but look, Alex Sarr has gotten better as time progresses, and that's what you want to see from a young guy who you drafted number 2 overall. He's going to be good. He's going to be a star in this league, in my opinion. Him and Bilal are heading in the right direction. Just give them some time, but they're getting better, and I think a lot of that is because of them and because of this coaching staff. So, number 2, guys, rebounding. Right now, we're even up in rebounds. We're technically 18th. They're technically 16th, but both teams average 44.1 rebounds per game. So that's it. And that's why I said the battle of the paint, the battle of the rebound, boxing out is so important, because the matchup between Alex Sarr and Zubac and Mo Bamba and Jonas Valanciunas, I think they are favorable. I think we had to win that matchup. I think we had to win the battle of the rebound, especially offensive rebounds, extend possessions, put us in the best position to get those second chance points, man. So definitely want to see, us get those second chance points, and that comes from offensive rebound. Alex Sarr has gotten better with boxing out, but definitely want to get him back, get his head back into really being more dominant with boxing out and getting in there and really put his stamp on this front court, man. I want to see him more aggressive in the paint. So rebounding, we have to win the rebound battle. All right, the third and final key to victory is blocks per game. We are the 11th best team in the NBA. So we're doing something right. We are the 11th best team in the NBA when it comes to blocks. They are 25th. So in saying that, attack the paint. Attack the paint. Jordan Poole, JP13. We know you can shoot that 3-point shot, and you've been shooting it well. But at times you can be very dependent on that shot. You got speed. You have the ability to attack the basket, score at will, and collapse defenses, and utilize those shooters like Corey Kispert, like Kyle Kuzma. The list goes on. That's what I expect from JP13, man. I want to see him attack the basket a lot more. Definitely get to the free throw line. Definitely get guys like Zubac. Definitely get guys in foul trouble. But I think that, yes, we know that JP13 can shoot that 3-point shot. That's not even up for debate. But can he be a little dependent on that? Oh, absolutely, man. I think that with his speed, with his ability, with his vision, with his ball handling, I want to see him attack the paint a lot more, and not only try to, obviously score, but get to the free throw lines, definitely get to the charity strike, but definitely let that defense zone in on him and collapse defense, and definitely open it up on the outside for Keyshawn George, for Corey Kispert. The list goes on. Definitely want to see him do that. So I think this is a game where he's going to have that opportunity. I want to see JP attack, and really the team overall. I want to see everybody attack. Looking at Kyle Kuzma, I want to see Kuz going in and attack the basket, attack at will. Let's try to get Zubac and them in foul trouble. I think this is the perfect game to attack the rim, because, like I said, they are 25th in the NBA right now as far as blocks, man. So I think this is the prime opportunity for them to attack the basket. So again, guys, 3 keys of victory. Number 1, defense. They have to be on their game when it comes to locking down the perimeter, making quicker switches on defense, and closing out shooters, and getting back in transition. Stop getting beat, man. We got to get back in transition. And like I said, rebounding, win the battle of the rebounds, win the battle of the paint. And number 3, attack the paint. Sorry about it. Again, tomorrow night, 10:30 tip-off p.m. Eastern time. So we're looking around 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm gonna do this, guys. Because like I said, while I do appreciate everybody who showed up at 1 o'clock in the morning to show support to your boy, I know it is 1 o'clock in the morning. I know a lot of people, it's hard for them to make the show. So I'm gonna put a poll out, guys, right after I put this up, and ask you guys, do you guys want to recap at 1 o'clock or later that day? So you guys, I'm gonna put it in your hands. I'm gonna put the power to the people, man. So, like I said, I'm gonna let you guys vote on it, and we're gonna go ahead and go off of that because, like I said, I want to get the maximum views. I want to get the maximum participation with you guys, and I know that 1 o'clock in the morning is hard, and I know there's a lot of you guys that are loyalty. And look, it's all love. I love you guys. Definitely love the fact you guys came out and 1 o'clock in the morning rocking with your boy, man. So, like I said, I know there's gonna be people who show up, but like I said, I also want to see a good turnout, and I also want to see you guys, be able to participate and get in there on these videos. So, I'm gonna go ahead and put the vote up. So, all right, guys, we covered a lot tonight. Kyle Kuzma, the conundrum of Kyle Kuzma. Is he here to stay or is he on his way? And tomorrow night, the Clippers 10:30 tip off. So you guys, I'm gonna put the power in your hands. Democracy is a beautiful thing. So we're gonna go ahead and do the vote, and you guys let me know what you guys want to do, and then we'll go ahead and announce off of that. So, all right, guys, all love, appreciate and love all you guys, and appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to rock with your boy. Hail to the Wizards and peace.